Wake up and French kiss the morning.
After ushering in the metal pop era with their 1986 blockbuster Slippery When Wet and their hit singles You Give Love a Bad Name, Wanted Dead or Alive, and Living on a Prayer, Bon Jovi finally went beyond the big 80s hair, holding back style and sound changes to become one of the greatest American rock bands of their time. Unlike many of their big-haired pop metal counterparts, Bon Jovi's appeal wasn't limited to America. Its 1988 sequel Slippery When Wet New Jersey and 1992's Keep the Faith were all international successes, each selling more than 10 million copies worldwide. Another way they differed from other MTV favorites of the late 80s lies in how Bon Jovi cleverly and subtly tweaked their sound to suit the times. The group gradually reduced their reliance on arena rock guitars, emphasizing melodies and ballads without rejecting hard rock. They incorporated elements of soft rock and country, movements that helped the band maintain their popularity well into the 21st century. However, here are the facts about Bon Jovi. Band issues led to dark times for John Bon Jovi. In the 2010s, Bon Jovi faced multiple troubles. In 2013, guitarist Richie Sambora abruptly quit the band. I went out for the first leg of the tour. Sambora told the Today Show Australia, "I just started spending time with my kid between legs, and my spirit wouldn't pull myself out the door. I just needed to be home." The departure blindsided John Bon Jovi. Everything was great and we were just coming off a break, but he never came to work again. It was a shock. A couple of years later, Bon Jovi released Burning Bridges, its final album on Mercury Records, the band's label since forever. That title was a not so thinly veiled announcement that Bon Jovi was frustrated, bitter and just plain done with Mercury, and the title track explains exactly what happened, as John Bon Jovi told Billboard. It includes the lyrics, "After 30 years of loyalty, they let you dig the grave. Now maybe you can learn to sing or strum along. Well, I'll give you half the publishing. You're why I wrote this song." David Bryan sliced off part of a Singer. Fingers are important to everyone, but especially to those who make their living fiddling with musical instruments for a living. Perhaps it would be most problematic for a professional keyboardist to lose one of their digits, and that almost happened to Bon Jovi electric ivory tickler David Bryan. While he was using a power circular saw, the tool slipped and sliced through the index finger on his right hand, removing the bad all the way to the bone. "I looked at my hand, bleeding all over, and I thought it's over, I fucked up. It was real bad," he told Keyboard. After a year in which he couldn't play keyboards, owing to surgery and reconstructive measures, doctors told him he still would never regain the use of the finger. Then he began physical therapy, where the lightest touch made my finger feel like it was getting slammed in a car door. Bryan subjected himself to nerve resetting, which for 3 hours a day and 5 days a week, consisted of poking and prodding, by jamming your hand in sawdust, rocks, Legos and ice, and by giving it shocks. After all that work, Bryan says his finger finally got back to normal. A parasite nearly killed Bon Jovi's keyboard player. While on a hiatus in the early 90s and before recording its fifth studio album Keep the Faith, Bon Jovi's members pursued various projects. John Bon Jovi recorded his solo debut Blaze of Glory, and Richie Sambora made his record Stranger in This Town. Bon Jovi keyboardist David Bryan played all over Sambora's album while also recording a soundtrack for the movie Netherworld, and he also spent a large portion of the Bon Jovi hiatus recovering from parasites he believes he acquired when the band toured through South America. These dangerous creatures absolutely ravaged Bryan and could have killed him. "They ate out my intestines and my stomach and put me out of commission for about 6 months, Bryan told Keyboard in 1993. Thanks to these nasty little critters, Bryan was left extremely ill in a hospital bed for about 2 weeks, and during the process, he lost a whopping 40 pounds. In other words, even though the band was taking a break, it's not like Bryan had a relaxing time. Bon Jovi's guitarist has struggled with addiction. According to Rolling Stone, there were rumors flying around the set of Unplugged, when Bon Jovi taped its 2007 episode, that Richie Sambora was too drunk to play guitar. His team denied that taping was a problem, but nevertheless a few days after the June 5 session, a band representative told Us Magazine that Sambora had checked into a Los Angeles drug treatment facility to address his problem with alcohol. A source also told Us Magazine that Sambora was going through a hard time following a rapid chain of stressful events that included the finalization of his divorce from Heather Locklear, a split with girlfriend Denise Richards, and the death of his father. A few months later, Sambora spent an additional week in rehab at Utah's Cirque Lodge facility. Addiction recovery is a journey, and sometimes that road is rocky. Sambora had to admit himself to a drug treatment center once more in 2011. Jon Bon Jovi contemplated suicide. Jon Bon Jovi and his eponymous band toiled for years to make it big, and they finally did when back-to-back singles You Give Love a Bad Name and Livin' on a Prayer topped the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. The band worked hard to break through, playing concerts around the world for the better part of 1985, followed in close succession by the release of Slippery When Wet and the support tour that took up most of 1986 and 1987. Plus, they had to prepare to head into the studio to record the 1988 album New Jersey. Achieving that kind of success and maintaining that success and fulfilling all the duties it requires, can leave a person physically, mentally and emotionally drained, and according to The Mirror, that's how Jon Bon Jovi was feeling in the early 90s when he suffered a breakdown. In fact, those feelings were so awful and so strong that he almost made a devastating decision. While on his way to see a psychologist in 1991, Bon Jovi was driving along the Pacific Coast Highway in California, and he considered jumping out of the moving car and ending it all. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and Jon Bon Jovi is still with us today.